Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Big Ten preview, Friday, December 9th, 2022. And Christmas, if my math is correct, is 16 days away. Holy cow. New Year's Eve knocking on the door. 2023 is right on the horizon, but it's that time of the week. Yes, there's no Big Ten football. I mean, we can talk about some bowl games. We can talk about Michigan as they get ready for TCU. We can talk about Ohio State as they get ready for Georgia. We got Big Ten basketball for the weekend where myself and Riley will go over the games, break down some team totals, some unders and overs, spots, what Ken Palm's saying, what they're not saying. So that's what we do here. We get you set up for the weekend. Without further ado, let's bring him in from the Windy City himself, the one and only, Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good morning, sir.
Morning, my friend. Happy Friday morning over here. I am ready to rock and roll. I'm bummed that we don't have any Big Ten basketball to talk about for tonight's case, but as you mentioned, we've got plenty of good stuff coming this weekend, and maybe a little recap of this last week real quick. But other than that, good week of Big Ten basketball. It looks like it's going to be a good weekend of Big Ten basketball. You've got a few head-to-head Big Ten teams matching up, and you've got a couple of ranked matchups. I think one on Saturday, one on Sunday. That should be pretty damn solid for both those days as far as Big Ten non-conference games. So I am ready to rock. We had some. We talked about some action yesterday for last night's game, but good to see you, my friend. How's the Friday morning going for you?
Friday's good. Already got a show in the books, the Sportsbook Confessions. Myself and Brady Tinker did an hour getting everyone ready for some weekend action in the NFL, some recapping, reflecting, as we like to say there. Dave under the weather a little, so we trounced through, I should say, as we got ready there. Now here, I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to throw you a little soft curve.
Yeah.
Let's set it up here. The Final Four in college football. And the reason I'm starting here is there's two Big Ten teams. There's not two SEC teams in there this year.
There isn't.
There's two Big Ten teams in there. And if you look at the odds to win it all here, you can get Georgia minus 130. I think Michigan's around plus 280. Ohio State's plus 400, and TCU's like plus 1,800 or whatever the number is. Now, the look-ahead line, Ohio State is minus 3 if Ohio State can pull the upset, and Michigan now opened at 9, now minus 7.5. Give us a little preview on what got us here, and your initial thoughts are, if you had Biff's Almanac, if you had that crystal ball, will there be one Big Ten team standing? Will there be two Big Ten teams standing in the championship, or will there be zero Big Ten teams standing?
You know what? I as far as the national championship odds, there's a lot of stuff to peel off as far as all of the stuff you mentioned there. But Michigan plus 300, Ohio State plus 360. You said the look-ahead line, if Ohio State and Michigan are meeting, is Ohio State minus 3. That's what you said there. So by that measure, if you think Ohio State's beating Georgia, plus 360 as opposed to plus 300 now seems if you're trying to look ahead like that, then obviously they got to get through Georgia. But I don't know. I think Michigan will take care of TCU. I don't know about the 7.5. That one's going to be tough, and TCU is going to be able to obviously score some points potentially in that one. But I think Michigan will take care of business. Not sure what the running back situation is going to be like, but Donovan Edwards, I mean, we talked about him. If Blake Corum didn't exist, I think we would all know I have a better understanding of who Donovan Edwards is and might have him in the Heisman conversation if it wasn't for Blake Corum. Not taking anything away from Blake Corum, that's just how solid Donovan Edwards is also. So I think Michigan will take care of business there and we'll get through. I think they've got their the Big Ten championship game was kind of a good indicator of not any type of look aheads. Obviously, it's tough to you never want to look ahead when you're in the college football playoff. You got to take care of business now. But had they lost to Purdue or had a one touchdown game, then you might have been concerned that they've lost some firepower or something like that. But I think they'll be just fine. Again, maybe it lands on 7, and it's a tough one to get into as far as the spread is concerned. But and then Ohio State, Georgia. I don't know. That one's tough to crack. I was surprised that one wasn't just over a touchdown spread there. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in Georgia at the touchdown spread, especially after Ohio State loses by whatever they lost to Michigan, 20 or so. But that game was neck and neck through the first half of that game, and then Ohio State got worn down there in the second half and then quit essentially there. So if their defense can step up, then Ohio State's got a chance. But if it's looking like they were looking in the second half against Michigan, then it's going to be a similar story as that one is concerned. So I would like to say Michigan and Ohio State rematch, but I don't know. At least as of now, obviously that game's not for 3 weeks or so. So maybe my feelings will change by then. But I'll say Ohio State gives them a run for their money. But Georgia gets it done in a good one. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, just based upon the spreads, I mean, the easy way out is to say, well, Michigan advances, and then you flip the coin on the other game there. What I try to do is, I don't want to say get cute, but I want to see where the value is. I think the easy initial play would be to say, all right, I'm going to take Michigan plus the 300 because I expect them to beat TCU. And then if Ohio State's -3, the rematch game of last year, Georgia, Michigan, what's Georgia? Well, how do they look against Ohio State? If Georgia blows the doors off Ohio State, they'll be probably around 8-point favorites against Michigan. Yeah. Maybe I'm a little heavy there. If it's a close game, maybe it's 3.5, 4.5. Again, I don't think Michigan's getting enough credit for the fact that they were here last year. Everyone knows Georgia was here, but no one's giving Michigan enough credit that they were there last year.
Right, and it's one of those situations. Yeah, you cut your teeth a little bit last year. Obviously, it was against Georgia, right? In the am I wrong? They played against Georgia in the semifinal, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cut their teeth a little bit, overmatched by that opponent. And I think a lot of Georgia. We all believe Georgia's, if not the best team, one of the 2 best teams for sure. Still, not quite the same team that they were last year, at least as far as the defense of how many guys they lost. Still a very good defense. Maybe they'll prove me wrong and they'll look amazing in these 2 games or potentially 2 games here. But that experience is huge, and obviously you've seen a lot of teams over time kind of have that experience and then bounce back the next year. So that leads me to believe I think they should take care of TCU, and then depending on who they're playing, they should have a good shot against either. Obviously, they've already beaten Ohio State, but even if they get Georgia again, I think they'll have a good shot of taking them down this year.
Michigan lays an egg, loses to TCU, or beats TCU and gets blown off the map against an Ohio State in the rematch, or a Georgia. Do we start comparing Michigan as the Notre Dame of the Final Four?
That's a good question. I'll say... Man, that is a good question. I'll say if they lose to Ohio State, I don't think so. It would in that rematch. If they get the doors blown off by Georgia, the way Alabama beat Notre Dame that one year, or a couple of these situations, then maybe yes. If they lose to Georgia by 30, 40, something like that, then I would say yes. If they lose to Ohio State after beating them a few weeks ago, I'll say not quite the same. But if they lose to Georgia in the fashion that Notre Dame's lost to a couple of those teams, then I will say yes.
Now, I'm going to use the next couple of weeks, Friday shows, to go over the Big Ten bowl games. But during my show this morning, a number really cracked me up. Okay, so Saturday is the Army-Navy game. The actual number is 35. It's already been bet down, corrected to 32.5. I think the under has come in 17 straight years, something stupid. But as we were breaking down some of the bowl games, I thought you'd get a little chuckle out of this one.
Oh, boy.
Because Iowa and Kentucky. Now, it's already been brought up that Levi will not be quarterbacking for Kentucky. Iowa, now if I can find it, was 2.5-point dogs. They're 2-point favorites, but the comical line, the under/over of 31.
Ooh, it'll make your bones shake a little bit there, huh? I mean, is this a windstorm, rainy game in Iowa City, or is this? No, it's in Nashville, Tennessee. So yeah, weather will be TBD on Christmas Eve there. But no, I as someone who loves those type of, especially when everyone knows it's going to be a nasty, grimy game, I love those types of games. So. Yeah, kind of glad Will Levis. I like Will Levis, but kind of glad he's not in there because that game would obviously look a little bit different potentially. But no, I'm going to be ready to rock and roll watching that one for sure. I don't know. Do you take a little if you're really a gross under degenerate? Do you take a long term two-way parlay of Army Navy under and that game under as far as whatever those odds will be? I don't think so. I honestly think one will go over and one will go under. And yeah, I'm not taking the over in either one, but I'll assume maybe one goes over, one stays under.
I think you're a smart man, sir. Smart man. Weekend, Big Ten action, baskets. We were spot on the closing bell on Iowa last night. Box to wire against Iowa State.
Hi.
It was a good bounce back spot.
Yeah.
It was, they got lambasted in Madison Square Garden. They come back home. They lost to Iowa State last year. And again, I saw your timeline. Listen, when you can't score against Iowa and they get that thing cranked up, forget about it.
Forget about it, yeah. And especially, the way they play already, if you're playing slow pace and you're not stopping them in general, that's going to be tough. But yeah, when you're missing shots and they're able to run up and down the floor, it's they like I said, they shot well. I think 52% from three, which is obviously pretty damn good. But even if it was 30-40%, I mean, it still would have been a similar result there. So they've got a kind of a similar matchup this weekend. Doesn't mean they're gonna dominate those teams every single time. It's just if the other team can't hit their shots, that's gonna be the outcome there. They play Wisconsin this weekend, kind of a similar type-ish matchup a little bit as far as the slowed down pace and whatnot. So if Wisconsin's not going to be able to, we'll get there in a minute, but if Wisconsin's not hitting those shots and Iowa's getting out in transition, it's going to be, I don't think they'll be that hot, and I don't think Wisconsin will be as cold as Iowa State was because Iowa State couldn't. I mean, they were 0 from 3 through, 60, 70% of that game. I don't think that's going to be the case this weekend with Wisconsin, but, it's the same thing. Iowa's a dangerous team to bet on because you just don't know how hot they'll be. You don't know how, if the other team's ice cold, then, it's a different type of matchup than a lot of these games. So, we'll get there in a second. But, I was impressed with last night for sure, even without Murray.
And hats off to Juwan Howard and Michigan, 2 back-to-back losses, a game in London on Sunday. And we talked about this on the closing bell. Both our eyes were pointed to Minnesota. Then I backtracked and said, listen, when I see Minnesota as the play, just run to the window, go play Michigan first half, go play them full game, and sure enough, box to wire.
Yeah, I was like I told you before the show, I was more tuned into the 3 Big Ten games than I was the NFL game. I think Minnesota ended up, winning outright in the second half, maybe by 1 point or something like that. But the first half was all Michigan. They came out and slapped them in the mouth. And like I told you, I think Minnesota will be, maybe an improved young team later in the season. But right now, they're not a fun team to watch right now. They're sloppy. They don't have it together. They are the clear bottom team in the Big Ten, in my opinion. Credit to Michigan. They're again, we've talked about them. They're an unpredictable team. When you think it's everything's pointing against them, they come out and look amazing. When it's the opposite way and everything's pointing to them, then they come out and lay an egg. So, might be my biggest stay away team in the Big Ten, but I'm sure we'll have some value on them at some point. And I think they're off this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the Wolverines here. Yeah, I think they're off this weekend.
No Big Ten games tonight. We got games on Saturday and Sunday, as we always do. I will pass the torch over to you.
Yes. Before we do that, the other one last night, the Ohio. If you hadn't seen the buzzer beater, the Ohio State buzzer beater over Rutgers. Credit to Rutgers for hanging in there and looking like they were close to a road win. And I saw somebody. It was closer than the replay made it look, but you could have made the case that. Ohio State, the guy that hit the shot, didn't reestablish himself. He was out of bounds, standing out of bounds before he caught the shot. But tough one to call in the blink of an eye there if you're the ref. So huge buzzer beater win. That was that's the type of stuff. If you don't have any skin in the game, that's the type of stuff you're looking for there, and that's what I was doing last night. So, moving into the slate tomorrow, though, first one up is at Illinois, Penn State and Illinois. Illinois gets the big win over Texas at MSG this week. Penn State now 2 losses in a row. Last week in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, lost at Clemson, and then came home and lost to Michigan State this week as 4-point favorites. Still a solid team, so don't expect this team to be the bottom feeder in the Big Ten alongside Minnesota and Nebraska. Will they be the third worst record of the Big Ten? Maybe, I don't know. But my point is there's a giant gap between those two teams in Penn State here. With that, having said all of that, Illinois obviously is going to get quite a bit of the public perception going in their favor, not only as a team that's won a couple of huge games over big teams, but also the number next to their name. Illinois won 4 straight in between these two teams. Last 2 were at Illinois as 10 and 12.5 point favorites. Penn State's better than they were in those 2 years. So I'm going to take a wild guess at the line in this one, Jeff. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but I'm going to take a guess at least 7.5 point favorites for Illinois, or is it did they give it double digits?
No, they Ken Palm has it 75-66 Illinois, okay. With a 9-point victory here. Looking at the Illinois resume as we speak, 2 losses, 1 against Virginia and 1 against Maryland. Last Friday it was. Yep. That's right. 2.5-point dogs they were in that spot. They're public trendy dog they were in that one. And again, we were talking Maryland undefeated at the time. Which team would show up there? Huge win for them in overtime against Texas. Had a few days to rest, and then I'll pull up the Penn State team here as we speak. 3 losses, 1 to a real good Virginia Tech team. Yeah. 1 to Clemson in double overtime, and then they lost to Sparty at home, 67-58. Right. So their loss was neutral, away, and then they're home. I expect Illinois to get the W. Do you get a bounce back? Do you get some resilience from this Penn State team? Illinois, I think initially to start, my gut would tell me a little sluggish after the overtime win. In comes Penn State, a team that they're supposed to handle. So I think the number's pretty spot on. I think Illinois is going to wear them down. My initial thought would be, if you needed to scratch an itch, would be to jump in on Penn State first half. Hopefully they catch them by storm. They're hitting their shots, playing good defense. Yeah. Slow the game down a little. Don't let Illinois get into transition.
No, I could definitely agree with you for sure. Last year, I think they only played one time. It was a 5-point win for Illinois as double-digit favorites. So I could see it. I think Penn State's probably going to give them their best shot. I mean, I think both these teams have a week or so off after this game, so nothing really to look forward to for either of these teams. I agree with you. I think Penn State will come out giving them their best shot, but it wouldn't surprise me if Penn State got the win. Honestly, I'm an Illinois homer. I'm going to say I agree with you. I think Illinois gets the win, but I could see Penn State giving Illinois a run for their money. Not the same situation as last night with Rutgers and Ohio State, maybe, but it wouldn't surprise me if something similar is going on there. But Illinois should have a nice atmosphere. They've been getting some love from some national media pundits as far as their fans are concerned for the first time in a while. So I'm happy to hear that. It's a good fan base, good environment. So I'm hoping the place is rocking. But I don't know when I've lost touch of when the Christmas schedule is. Illinois has always been a team that has awesome environments, but then you get the Christmas break atmospheres, and it's not many students are in attendance. I don't think this will be the case, but I could be wrong. I honestly don't know, but not that should be a huge factor. But the environments are a little different in that end or Christmas time in December, and then the first couple of weeks in January. So hopefully that's not the case this weekend.
Yeah, I have to pick up my daughter next Friday or Saturday, so I think you got this 1 week. They get the week of finals coming up. Hats off to the AD at Penn State. They're 6-3 right now. Pencil them in for a loss, maybe a good first half. They're 6-4. Then per Ken Palm, they got Canisius, Quinnipiac, and Delaware State, 96%, 89%, 99.6%. So even with a loss to Illinois, puts them to 6-4. That would put them 0-2 in conference. They got 3 wins to fill up the belly, get them to 9-4,
Yeah.
and then they got to travel to Iowa, where no, actually they'll have Iowa at home, and Ken Palm's got them losing 73-72, so they got a chance to really bounce back. And here's a funny thing that I think you'd take as a little eye opener: Ken Palm's only got Penn State losing the next game at Michigan 73-69. So they got Michigan as a 4-point favorite against Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State's going to be a thorn in people. They're going to be a team that you would expect to have some nice spots to win, and they'll maybe let you down, and then there'll be some spots kind of like this one where you don't expect them too much, and they come in and are a thorn in your side. So again, I'll give them a puncher's chance at, and maybe if you're taking Penn State, maybe go a little tiny sprinkle on the money line. I think Illinois will win, but it could be a tough one here. Penn State's a stingy team there. So Purdue and Nebraska is the next one. This one could be ugly. Nebraska doesn't have too much size inside to match with Zach Edey and Purdue here. Biggest guys that they have, at least that play any reasonable amount of minutes, 6'10" and 6'11", but they only play 12 minutes per game. Their starting lineup, I think their biggest guy is 6'9". Last year it was a 20-point spread at Purdue, Jeff. This year, this one's at Nebraska. I don't know. Would they go up into the 20s, or is this? I'm guessing around the 16-17 range.
Well, I think what I'll do is I'll play the game with you right now. The actual number at Florida State was 12 with a corrected number of 16. Little grab ass landed on 10 there. And then they beat Minnesota by 19. Then they beat Hofstra by 19. Now they travel to Nebraska, and Nebraska shocked the world and beaten Creighton, where I want to see what Ken Palm had. Ken Palm had them. Actually, I don't have that anymore. Nebraska coming off a loss at Indiana by 16. So I'm going to tell you the trap of the day. They got Purdue. Ken Palm has Purdue winning 72-64. They only have a -8.
Ooh, goodness gracious. Okay. That might be the trap of the day then. Because without looking at that, you say, oh, Nebraska doesn't have enough size by any means here, but maybe they get out and run in this one. So Nebraska's a tricky team, man. You get those games like they get against Creighton, and then and they win outright, and then you got the game against Indiana, and they don't stand a chance for most of it. So that one is interesting. I am a little surprised to see that one. So maybe Purdue. Let's see. Purdue's got. A lot of these teams I don't think play a lot during the week next week. Purdue after Nebraska a week later plays Davidson. And then Nebraska, same thing. A week later plays K-State. So a lot of these teams can definitely empty the chamber of effort on this one, and don't have anything to look ahead. So,
and like I was talking about Penn State, and congrats to the AD there. The next 3 games after this one: Davidson 93% chance of winning, New Orleans 99.8%, and then Florida A&M at 99.9%, and then they host Rutgers. So my point here is they're undefeated at 9-0. This is a game that they're supposed to win, and then they got a week off here. The line per Ken Palm is only 8. If they open this up tomorrow at 8, I can guarantee you it'll be 9.5, 10 by tip-off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Nebraska wins. I no luck ever on Nebraska. Trust me on that one, but I'm telling everyone watching and listening here, just make a little note that you heard that Nebraska and this line smells real, real bad tomorrow.
Yeah. I appreciate the thoughts. Yeah, people are going to be rushing towards Purdue on this one, almost no matter what you set the line at. So I'm curious to see what it's get posted at tonight or tomorrow morning. So next one up, the one of 2 least intriguing games of the weekend: Brown at Michigan State. Brown 218 per Ken Palm. We don't have to waste too much time on this one unless it's another line, eye-opening line that you've got for us. But I'm going to go. Is it a 20-point spread on this one?
16, 74-58.
Okay.
Michigan State losses to Gonzaga, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Northwestern. A bounce-back win, as we said, against Penn State by 9. I'll pull up this Brown team right now. Brown, 4 losses: UVM, Colgate, Loyola Maryland, and UMass Lowell, who just beat UMass yesterday, coming off a win. They've won 5 in a row: Maine, Central Connecticut, Bryant, Hartford, and Rhode. So they really haven't been playing anyone. 8-4. This is a get well spot for Michigan State. I wouldn't run to the window and lay the 16, but this is a good spot for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Depending on the spread is going to be interesting if there's a statement or any stinky action going on. Because I could see Michigan kind of sleepwalking a little bit and letting Brown into the game at first. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm with you. It should be a get right spot. Michigan State just hasn't been, obviously, ever since the early wins. They've kind of been walking through the schedule a little bit. Obviously, get the bounce back the other day, though. So maybe their defense is what gets this win or cover for sure in this one. So next one is in Vegas. This one is the non-conference game that we've got on schedule, game of the day for the Big Ten. Arizona and Indiana, they are playing on a neutral court in Las Vegas. Pretty similar situation. Both of them took losses about a week or so ago and then bounced back against a weaker conference opponent. Indiana, I think, so Arizona's number 10 in AP, Indiana 14 AP, and then I think KenPom is a little flipped. I think Indiana's 10 and Arizona is 18. I don't know. I'm going to take a wild guess. Are they giving Indiana the win, or are they calling Indiana the favorite in this one, or is it in Arizona in this one? I'm not even sure.
KenPom, Indiana 80-79 winner. Their one loss that we talked about last week against Rutgers. We were all over Rutgers at the rack there, box to wire, 63-48. They bounced back with a 16-point win against Nebraska. Arizona comes into town. One loss, and that was at Utah by 15. They bounced back against Cal. Absolute coin flip. The thought process would be, I would expect public to be on Arizona here. Especially out in Vegas, the West Coast bias there. 80-79, 159. It'll be interesting to see what the total is there. Are they playing that at T-Mobile?
MGM Grand Garden.
Okay. Absolute coin flip. That's a popcorn game for me.
Yeah, 100% me. Would it be as simple as it's still a toss-up. If Arizona is favored, are we thinking that's the right side? And if Indiana's favored, we thinking that if you had to do something, I agree, it's a coin flip and I'm staying away. But would you say if Indiana's favored, you're interested in Indiana, and if Arizona's favored, you're interested in Arizona, or not so much?
I would have respected Arizona 2.5, 3.
Okay.
If Vegas opens up Indiana 1.5, they're going to get the Arizona money.
Right.
So I respect. Now, KenPom has this 80-79 Indiana. Right. I'm going to go on a limb here and say we'll wake up tonight. We'll see tonight.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow morning, Arizona -1.5. That's my guess.
Okay. No, that's what I was going to guess Indiana -1.5, and then I don't know. I backed off of that a little bit, but this one should be a good game. These teams are really damn similar, so I'm excited to watch that one there. So that is it for Saturday. Moving into Sunday, one little bit of a stinker, and then some good games. Prairie View A&M at Northwestern. Not too much to talk about in this one either. Northwestern plays a slow pace, so I'm interested to see. This could be a good test of what the total, what they set the total at could be an interesting play on the total in this one, because I would expect Northwestern's defense to have a huge game in this one. Prairie View is a SWAC team, one of the lesser conferences in college basketball, but I think they're one of, if not one of the best teams in that conference. Having said that, there's still a bit of a difference here. I don't know. What did they give you for a spread in this one? This one could be telling.
Well, I give myself for some props. I had Northwestern scoring 72. KenPom has them at 71. I had Prairie View at 48. They got them at 55. So they got a 126 with a 16-point favorite for Northwestern.
Okay. I was hoping it was going to be in that 119, 120 range, and we would get a nice under. Because that's what I was thinking. Prairie View maybe 55. Honestly, I was going to guess 50 max. Honestly, I could see Northwestern being fantastic defensively in this one, but I don't know. Yeah, if they give you a shorter spread, then yeah, maybe that's a little sneaky there. And if it's if that totals 128, 129, as setting it there, then that could be that. Prairie View getting to 60 and Northwestern getting to 70. Who knows? So, any other thoughts on that one? Or are we moving on?
No, I had Prairie View at 48. I was thinking the same thing there, and I had Northwestern at 72. So I was spot on with Northwestern. It'll be how much resistance Prairie View gives them. When you're playing those totals, unders and overs, if it's a closer game, you're going to get those last 2 minutes of the free throws. And I've seen totals, you've seen totals where they've scored 20 points in the last minute because of foul score. So if Prairie View's down by 20, you're not going to get that part of it. But I think Northwestern should be able to dictate offensively what they do. It's just what happens offensively for Prairie View.
Yep, 100%. It's that one is going to be on during the NFL game, so maybe that's one you're probably not watching as far as that is concerned. But these other ones may be a different case. Tennessee and Maryland, another neutral site game. Number 17 per the AP poll and number 13 team per the AP poll, Maryland. This one is in Brooklyn. Tennessee had the early loss to Colorado, and they have been red hot ever since. Last week or so, they've been playing some cupcakes a little bit here, but nonetheless, they've been red hot ever since that loss to Colorado. Maryland, obviously, gets the loss at Wisconsin this week, which I didn't have much going on there, but I threw a wrench in our discussion on that one, and we'll lean towards Wisconsin in that one. So the tough loss there, they're going to be bouncing back in this one as far as the energy-wise. They should be bouncing back in this one. I expect Tennessee to be favored, though. I think they're still number 3 KenPom or something like that, right? Well, what's the estimation on this one? Is that 3.5 or higher?
It's 68-63. It's 5.
Okay, wow.
Given Maryland just a 32% chance of winning this game. Maryland coming off that one loss. And listen, I've been crediting these ADs, and I don't know if I'm crediting the Maryland AD. They lose at Wisconsin. They got a neutral site with Tennessee, and then in comes UCLA on Wednesday. So good luck there. But they are favored to beat UCLA by 1. But I like the spot here for Tennessee. It is 5. I'd be interested to see because none of us are believing in this Maryland team, and it's a great spot for Tennessee. Let me just take a look here at Tennessee for 1 second. The loss at Colorado was comical. They just got boat raced. Then Florida Gulf Coast, Butler, USC, Kansas, McNeese State, Arkansas. So they have not been tested since Kansas, and they beat Kansas by 14. So you might get a little grab ass early from this Tennessee squad, and they're so frustrating when you have them because they're so athletic, they're so long, they're great in transition, they can play defense, they can block the rim, they can do it all. And that's why KenPom has them at number 3. I expect once the action picks up and they wake up after the cupcakes they've been going, I think that they do cover this 5 going away.
Right. And you got to give some credit to Maryland what they've done, but I think they've caught some of these teams that they've beaten on some bad nights. I mean, they've got some big scores against some of these good teams that they've played, but and obviously the huge game against Louisville, which isn't it isn't much of a thorn in your cap. It's Louisville has been stinky. So I expect Tennessee to win this one, and as far as they're concerned, they've got Arizona next week after that, and then a cupcake or two. But they've got a tough schedule a little bit before they get into, I guess Mississippi is conference play at the end of the month there. So they've got Maryland and Arizona these next week or so, but they just had their cupcakes, so they got their cupcake wins there.
And you just hit something good, too. So this Arizona team playing in Vegas, and then they're going to host Tennessee here. So not a good thought where if they were to lose to Indiana, now having to host the Tennessee team. So there could be 2 losses in a row, or there could be 2 great wins. Yeah. And as we speak, Brazil in the 106th minute takes a 1-0 lead against Croatia.
Oh, wow. I was not. I didn't even realize that was going on. I had these 2 days off of the World Cup. I've lost touch. I didn't even realize we were back into it. Brazil took the lead. You said though.
1-0. Yeah, Argentina, I think, is on at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, sounds about right there. So, let's see. 3 games left. Wisconsin and Iowa. We talked about it a little bit. This one is at Iowa. Iowa obviously opened some eyes. But I think Murray will be out in this one, it seemed like, was the estimation. The way they were talking about him last night sounded like he might miss a few games here, a couple weeks or something like that. I would be willing to guess they let him sit a little bit and then get him ready to go, after Christmas for the restart of Big Ten play, and then you're all the way into Big Ten play there. But as we mentioned, it's a dangerous one. Iowa had been taking care of this matchup a handful in a row, and then Wisconsin got them last year at Wisconsin, just after the new year last year. But we talked about it. If it's dangerous because if Wisconsin's doing what Iowa State did and is ice cold shooting and can't hit the broadside of the barn, then Iowa's going to be out and running. But if Wisconsin can control the pace and keep it slowing down, then it's going to be it's going to be all Wisconsin as well here. So this one's tough. I don't know. Last night was Iowa by 3.5, even without Murray. Did they give you is it the same thing as far as Sunday, 3.5?
They gave you a 71-64, which is a 135, which means it's not a 112, a 118, a 120, 121. So usually Wisconsin in the 130s, it's an over. Yeah. Now, again, that's predicated on Iowa dictating the pace here. If they're not hitting the threes and Wisconsin gets that slow down ball game going, it will come to a screeching halt. This will end in the 119s, or 120s, or 125s. Ken Palm thinks it's a 7-point win by Iowa and an over. I'm going to be interested to see what the under-over is there. They might open it up around a 132, 132.5. A Whiskey team, 2 losses, one by 1 point in overtime to Kansas, and then a 3-point loss to Wake Forest. They bounced back. Big win last Saturday against Marquette. We had in overtime 80-77. We had the over there. And then the Maryland game, again, 64-59, which gets you right into that 123. It was a Wisconsin pace.
Yeah, no, and Wisconsin's been interesting. They've been fine on away from home as well. So this one will be telling as far as what they set the lines at. I'll say at least as of right now, I'll say Iowa gets the win. And controls the pace, but this one could definitely go the other way in a hurry. So let's see.
The other thing,
go ahead.
The other thing that I want to bring up to everyone, I know they're kids, I get all that. Don't forget they're coming into finals week, and the fact that Iowa played on Monday at Madison Square, then they come home and they do a shellacking to their interstate rival Iowa State. So this is their 3rd game in 5 nights. True. So just keep an eye on that one.
That is fair, and this is a big rivalry. But Wisconsin's had the luxury of, like you said, they get the game against Maryland on Tuesday. They didn't get the game the other yesterday to your point there, like Iowa did, and then they've got some time off, or not time off. They've got a cupcake after that. So shout out to Wisconsin as well. The same thing you're talking about. They've got some cupcakes on their schedule. Iowa. After this, kind of the same thing. They've got 2, but to your point, this is the 3rd high pressure game in the same week there. So as compared to Wisconsin having a nice little bit of rest there. So I like that angle for sure there.
So Wisconsin 7-2. So even a loss here puts them to 7-3. And per Ken Palm, Lehigh, Grambling State, Western Michigan, 98%, 95%, 97%, and then they host Minnesota, and they're favored by 13 and 87%. So even if a Wisconsin loss puts them to 7-3, they got 4 cupcakes heading into town. That will get them back to 11-3 before they travel to Illinois.
Yep. Yeah, these two are these. I would be surprised if either of these had some struggles that pushed them out of tournament contention. I think they'll be just fine as far as that is concerned. Maybe not top 25 teams as far as what you would expect. Maybe one of them gets there and has some time in. Maybe they both spend a little time in there. But I expect both these teams to be, no worse than a 9-10 seed in the tournament this year.
I agree.
Let's see. You and I talked about this one a little bit yesterday. We were kind of surprised at the line. This is Rutgers at the Rack in a non-conference game against Seton Hall. let's see. These two teams don't play every single year, but just pretty close to it the last handful of times. And it's been going. It's usually back and forth as far as the last 5 at least. See, they've flipped the winner in each of the last 5 matchups here. What were you saying yesterday as far as what the projection is? It's 7-8 points, right?
69-61, it's 8 points. And that is a shocker to me.
Yeah.
Don't forget last Saturday, 4-point dogs to Indiana, boat raced them, bucks the wire, coming off a 1-point loss to Ohio State. I will not be running to the window to play Rutgers, but I just tell you this. If you follow social media, you will hear nothing but Seton Hall tomorrow. I mean, you're going to gift them with 8 points, so don't be shocked if Rutgers wins by double digits. But that number is only one reason and one reason only. They're looking any possible way to get Seton Hall money.
Yeah. Rutgers at the rack is if they win another few, I am a lot more interested in them as underdogs at the rack on the point spread here. It's going to be maybe against these Nebraskas, Minnesotas, they might be a decent favorite to play. I don't know. I still prefer them as a dog here at home in the underdog spot. Because Seton Hall is 5-4, but they're not as bad as their record suggests. They're going to be a solid team. They're a tough team for sure, and they've got 3 losses straight in a row right now themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a fight. But I'm also not running to the window betting against Rutgers at the rack, regardless of what it is. They are a force that stands above the rest apparently right now. So anything else with that one? And then we got one more after that.
I'm just looking. They play Purdue once. I'm trying to see at home here. Home, they got them beating Maryland by 2, Iowa by 2, Ohio State by 2, Penn State by 6, Minnesota by 15, Michigan State by 5, Nebraska by 9, Michigan by 5, Northwestern by 7. So again, your only shot to get them as a home dog was against Indiana. They will not be home dogs the rest of the year.
Right. They don't play. They don't play in Illinois at home, right? They don't play
Purdue. Nope, they play them on the road.
Right.
And I'll give you a funny line. I don't know what's up with KenPom here. Purdue January 2nd hosting Rutgers, and KenPom's got Purdue at number 5. They got Rutgers at 27. Yep. You'd be shocked at this one. He's only got Purdue winning 70-62. So maybe we get an inflated Purdue team with the eye test and Edie and what they've done versus the actual numbers.
Yeah. Because that's an interesting one because they'll be undefeated, right? That's we basically laid that out. That one right after New Year's. Purdue's going to be undefeated still, we expect, right?
Yes, correct. That's January 2nd.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Who knows? Rutgers on the road, maybe not a sleeper as much as we're giving them or not giving them credit for. So no, credit to Rutgers, man. They finally last year had some fun, and they've up until that point, their entry into the Big Ten hasn't been too flashy. So they've been fun to root for these last couple of years. So I hope they're a nice dark horse that. Can actually get it done on the road here as well. So last one up, Mississippi State at Minnesota. It's at Minnesota, not a neutral floor here. We talked about Minnesota as last night's game. Minnesota is the clear worst team in the Big Ten for sure here, unless Nebraska. Yeah, maybe it's too early to give them that over Nebraska, but I will personally be putting them in that last 14 out of 14 case there. But Mississippi State, ranked team, 23 per AP. I'm drawing a blank on what they are per KenPom, but I think it's around that same range there.
26.
26. Okay, for sure. Minnesota. I don't know. What did they after Minnesota just got the doors beat off of them by ended up only 15, 19 and 15. Is this one going to be in that 15 range again, or is it a little bit higher than that?
No, it's you're going to laugh at this one. Mississippi State wins the game 64-56. So they got an 8-point swing there. Pull up Mississippi State. Undefeated. Let me see some wins here. A Marquette team on a neutral court by 3. A Utah team on a neutral court by 3. I'll just give you a few red flags. People remember what they saw last,
Yep.
and there were people on Minnesota last night, and they
Yep.
got their doors whacked. This is something that again we talked about on the closing bell. We'll probably talk about it again. Uh, this is Mississippi State's first true road game. Okay,
Sure.
they beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi at home. They beat Akron on a neutral court. They beat Arkansas Pine Bluff at home. South Dakota at home. Marquette and Utah on neutral courts. Nebraska Omaha at home. Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Rice was not playing that game.
Yeah.
Uh, at home. So first true road test, 8-point favorites. And again, I will tell everyone listening, just do a little note. Okay, Minnesota is dangerous in this spot.
Yeah. The way it's laying out, I can definitely see it for sure. I will not be running to them after the eye test was not kind to them the last few games that I've been paying attention. But no, I could see it for sure. I've told you I've had a lot of success, especially when it's a little bit of an eye-opening line, fading these one-loss or no-loss teams up against teams that have not had much success. So. Not sure if that's what I'll do, but I can definitely see it. I'm not running to the window with Mississippi State as well. The barn, though, for Minnesota, usually a very good home atmosphere. Last night was a little bit of a funeral home type atmosphere. So Sunday evening against a non-conference opponent, as compared to a decent rival in Michigan, might not be the best atmosphere, but like you said, it's still a true road test for Mississippi State. So hopefully Minnesota can get going in the right direction because it has been ugly so far, and that atmosphere is better, more fun when the Big Ten's more fun when that atmosphere is rocking and rolling. But I don't know if that'll be the case this year. But I'm with you as far as with the way you lay it out, as far as Minnesota having a chance this weekend at home against Mississippi State there.
Yeah, and it's a big spot. I mean, listen, Minnesota's lost 4 in a row. Listen, UNLV, it wasn't Stacey Augmon, it wasn't Larry Johnson, but then you got Virginia Tech, Purdue, and Michigan. And per KenPom, Virginia Tech 31, Purdue 5, Michigan 45. And so they played 3 great games. I'm not discrediting Mississippi State. Truth be told, I haven't seen enough tape on them. Yeah. I just know first road game, undefeated. A team that's lost 4 in a row at home just got smoked on primetime on national TV. It's a dangerous spot for Minnesota.
Yep, definitely makes sense for me there. Anything else, my friend? That is it for the Big Ten. We've got we just laid out some good games, some couple stinkers maybe, but some good action for sure this weekend. Hopefully we get some buzzer beaters or anything along those lines like last night is concerned. But either way, good stuff for the Big Ten, my friend. Anything else? We've got the Big Ten bowl games a few weeks away. So like you said, maybe the next week we'll start talking about that. College basketball tonight. As far as must-watch TV, it's a little slim as far as that is concerned. But anything that you were starting to be interested in as far as any of these random games tonight for college basketball?
To be truthful, no. I mean, you got a Zag game against Washington, a 147 and a 15 and a half, now 16 and a half, 148. Again, it's Friday, it's payday. People are going to flock to the over and the Zags there. The Zags team really struggling trying to make their identity, a highly, highly touted team with the return to Timmy and everyone else. So that's a stay away for me. Our Air Force, Arkansas State, a 6.5 with a 119 and a half, flat 6, nothing there. Interested in this one kind of comically. Stony Brook and Bryant. This Bryant team loves to score. I have a 153 and a half with a 12 and a half. It's a flat 12 and a 150. I'm expecting points there. Keep an eye on that over 149 and a half there. Grambling, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's been a thorn. We had them early a couple times. Thanks, but no thanks. 14 and a half with a 136. Now 138 and a 14. Queens, High Point, Binghamton, Fordham, Dartmouth Central. There is really, I mean, this is the drag. Northern Iowa, I was on them earlier this past week. We caught them. I think we had the over in that game and we snuck it out. They're hosting McNeese State. I had a 140 with a 16 and a half, down to 136. Circa now at 137 and a hook. No, there's really not much there.
Yeah, as far as anything to watch, it's you're hoping for Washington to give Gonzaga a run for their money. Other than that, unless you're a mid-major junkie, Which even then though, I mean the games aren't exactly. Last night there was a couple good ones, but yeah, I mean maybe there's one or two, but I probably won't be watching too much college basketball tonight, my friends. So yeah, we can leave that aside.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, again, it's not the greatest slate. When we do the closing bell at 3:30 today and bring Mr. Lucky on at 4:15, you got your NBA, you got a bazillion games there. We got a couple small college football games, and then we get the NHL. So it's
Yep.
Friday. It's not a huge slate for us in the ECSI VIPs. 5-1 this week. Now 22-6 the last 28. We get Dallas home with the team total over 3.5 last night. So again, it's one of these slim pickings. We'll take a look. No need to press. You got 5,000 games to go on Saturday, and then we cruise into Sunday.
Yes, sir. I will. I just got this notification. Obviously, not Big Ten, but Grinnell College apparently set an NCAA men's basketball record with 111 3-point attempts in a win over Emmaus Bible College. 111 3-point attempts in one basketball game, my friend.
Okay, so if they hit 30% of those, that would have put them at 90 points. So what they score, like 157 points?
They scored 124 to 67 victory.
And they shot 111 threes.
Yeah, they were.
What they hit about
okay.
15%?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out here. They went 40 and 111 from the field.
So every one of their shots was a three. Because if you said they hit 40,
yeah,
that's
every
120.
single one of their shots. Every single one of their shots attempts was from behind the arc.
Yeah. So they hit 40 threes at 120, and they probably hit 7 free throws.
Yep. Wow. That's pretty disrespectful to just shoot nothing but 3-point, unless I guess that's all they do, and that's what they typically try to do. But I that sounds familiar. I think I think that same college used to have. I'm drawing a blank on what his name was when I was either in high school or college. It was about 10 years ago. I think that same college had. They might have like an individual guy that has the records for most 3-point attempts or even points from that same college, if I'm not mistaken. I'm drawing a blank on who it was, but either way, that's 111 threes in the same game. I mean, sign me up. That sounds like an enjoyable offense to be a part of if you're looking to score some points there.
In a shocker, Croatia just tied this up. Now, am I watching a tape delay or this is live, right?
It should be, yeah. I see 117th minute.
Yeah, okay, 1-1, and wow. Holy moly! Anyone holding a Brazil ticket is pooping their pants right now.
What was that? They were a pretty heavy favorite, no?
To advance, I think they were. Let me just get an actual number. I don't know if
I haven't been too tapped into that.
Let me see if I still have it up, or you could pull it up.
I see, again, I don't know if this was to advance or just in regular time. I see minus 250. I don't know. That might not be to advance, though.
Yeah, because Circa already pulled that one off the board. Yeah, it's off the board here because the game's obviously going on. So, yeah, that sounds about right. This TJ Live just happened. Yes, Croatia plus 700 pregame. Thank you, TJ. Thank you. All right, so that's the Big Ten review in a nutshell. At 3:30 my time, 2:30 yours, we'll get the closing bell going. We'll get everyone all lathered up for Friday night. We'll bring Mr. Lucky on at 4:15. We'll talk some Circus, some NFL, and we'll get everyone set up for the weekend.
Sounds good to me. A handful of NBA games to talk about, so we will be ready to rock and roll.
And by the way, no props on the Van Jefferson anytime touchdown?
Oh, of course. Yeah, like I told you, I barely watched. That was one of the least primetime games that I've watched all season. I was tapped into Big Ten basketball. You're right. I totally forgot. Who was the other? I know Josh Jacobs scored for the Raiders. Who were the other couple of touchdown scorers?
Field goals.
All of them were field goals? Okay.
7 and 9 is 16. 17, 16.
Oh, for the Raiders. Oh, no, Cam Akers got for the Rams, though.
For the Rams,
get a rushing touch. So yeah, okay. So I left that one on the desk. I was interested in that one. But either way, yes, definitely need to give you props for that one from Baker Mayfield. If you had that on your bingo card, congratulations. So, and a Rams 17-16 win. Hey, yeah, not in the bounce back spot. Packers get the Rams, so I'm kind of happy they got the win against the Raiders there. So they're not in a bounce back spot or anything like that coming next week, which is Monday night. You get another Baker Mayfield potentially start in primetime coming up next week, my friends.
Yeah, in our show this morning, Brady broke some news to us that potentially, oh my God, Matthew Stafford hinting that he might call it a career. Started in Detroit, comes over to LA, gets the Super Bowl win. Elbow, I know he's had some neck issues. He's got a lot of money on the table. I told Brady maybe he comes back to camp trying to get that last check. And not that the Rams, and if McVay's still there, McVay hinted that he was offered $18 million to do the Thursday night games on Amazon. Maybe he's getting bored. The Rams are in a lot of trouble with draft picks and hurt people, aging people. So it might be time for a change there. But I can just tell you this, Baker Mayfield wouldn't go to camp as the number one. They'd bring in a veteran or whatever. So, but hats off to Baker. Listen, he finds a way. Again, like Monday night, Tom was dead and buried. They scored 2 late ones, and Baker, from the grave, like 98-yard touchdown drive. And listen, the Ravens did the same thing against Jacksonville. They made Trevor Lawrence look like he was in Clemson, marching the field. That's that prevent defense. The only thing a prevent defense does, it prevents you from winning.
My dad has been ranting and raving about that for the last year and a half. The way these teams are playing these late games, and it's for sure there. My buddy on Twitter mentioned it, and I would not be an issue if Baker Mayfield is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would not be upset with that. I would be more than okay if the Mayfield magic is the torch is passed. And is that the official passing the torch? Fitzpatrick, he's usually on Thursday nights. I think he was on the panel last night, I assume. So maybe that's the official passing of the torch, and you get mercenary Baker instead of Fitzpatrick now. I would not be upset with that.
Me either. So thank everyone for watching and listening. Myself and Riley will be back in 3 hours with the closing bell. And Mr. Lucky at Follow Fade. If you're not following him, please do. Talking Circa, NFL, and whatever else he has up his sleeve. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson, we wish everyone a blessed afternoon. Enjoy lunch/brunch. And myself and Riley, we'll see you soon. Speaking of basketball, do you want to improve your kid's shooting form? Try The Ringer. The Ringer is an award-winning shooting aid engineered to perfect your kid's shooting by aligning their arms to the basket, allowing them to align, shoot, and validate what they're doing right or wrong. Kiefer, roll the clip.
There you go.
Go check them out at theringerhoops.com and use the code ECSI10 for 10% off.